In this video, I'll show you how to create a side pane and load content within the side pane in a model driven app. Now, just to give you a context, this is my model driven app which lists down some of the airlines in the world, and I would like to uh, initiate like or create a side pane. Now, if you don't know what a side pane is, now as you see over here in the screen, now on the extreme right hand side, you will see a Copilot icon. Now here we can create, say, one more icon over here, and then on click of that, the side pane will open up. Now if I click on Copilot, as you see, this particular area gets lighted, and from here we can perform some operations. Now similarly, if I want to have something created over here, what I can do is like I can make use of JavaScript to write a code which will trigger creation of a site pane. Now, the example which I'm going to take is, say, if I navigate to say one of the records, say if I go into say one of this record, now what I want is the side pane to appear, and the side pane which appears over here will have list of all the airlines, because if I see the list of all the airlines in this context in the list view, I can see all the airlines over here. But if I go inside any record, then if I want to know say different airlines which currently exist, okay, that I can create over here. Now for that to happen, we may need to perform some JavaScript related actions. Now let's write JavaScript. uh, So for that, I'm gonna use Visual Studio Code, and from here, I'm gonna add, say, site pane logic.js. So this is a JS file which I'm gonna create, and here I need to first create a site pane. So the syntax for creating a site pane is xrm dot app dot site panes dot create pane. Now, this is that function which you can use to create a site pane. So xrm.app.sitepanes.create site pane. Now for here, you need to specify some couple of parameters. Now, in order to specify something, first what we will do, we will make use of simple JavaScript syntax. Okay, so let me put a curly braces over here, and so let me remove all this. Let me show you the general pattern, like how this general pattern works is, so xrm.app.sitepanes.create sitepanes.create pane, you close the bracket over here, and then you say dot, then, and then you have a function which you're going to call, and then we will make use of an arrow operator, and then we will pass some parameters over here, and then we will go ahead and close this bracket. Okay, so this is the usual syntax, xrm.app.sitepanes.create, and here we will pass some parameters. Now let me remove all this. Okay, and now let me start writing the content over here. Now here you put a curly brace, and then you will put some parameters. So let me put a simple parameter, say title colon, and what do you want the title to be? So I'll just take a list of airlines, and then I need to put some other parameters over here. So the other parameter is, say, image source. Now what image do you want in the side pane, uh, which on click of it, which will expand the side pane? So you need to specify the image file over here. Then we have a pane ID. Now this is important because every ID should be unique. So if you have more than, say, 5 item, or say if you have more than one item, then you need to exactly specify a different ID. That should not be in a duplicate. So you can put any name, but that should be unique. So I'll put airline 001. Then in the second side pane, I'll put airline 002, airline 003. So that's how you build that. Then we have if like this is like um, a a switch basically, which will allow you to close the side pane. So can close, so you can either put true or false. Now if you want to close a button to appear, then you can just say can close true, right? So now we close this side pane uh, function, right? xrm.app.sidepanes.create pane. Now dot then in this say method, so I'll use, this is the syntax which I told you, right? This is how you should create that syntax. So dot then, and then you will pass if value say pane. Okay, now the pane is, you're passing the context of that particular pane. And you need to be very careful about the syntax, because this may create a problem once you like say, because if you are not properly familiar with JavaScript syntax, then this might create a problem while deploying. Now we are just passing the pane, and we used an arrow operator, and then in arrow operator we will have used a curly brace, and we said pane dot navigate, and again here we need to pass the details about that page. Now this will be the same syntax everywhere, okay, but this will change. So page type colon, what are you trying to show? So I'm going to show entity list, the list of entity. Now the list of entities, which list of airlines, okay. Now you can show any entity, but for the sake of this example I will just show entity name. Now entity name, I'm gonna fill which entity name. Now I know the internal name of my entity, so I can type in over there as well. And then once you're done with this, you can just close the function. Okay, so let me put this over here. Now xrm.app.sidepanes.create, we have used the opening braces, then we have the curly braces, then we have list of items over here, then dot, then pane. Now let me remove this, so that's an extra bracket, and then arrow operator, then curly braces, pane dot navigate, and then we set page type as entity list. Now this can be entity record if you want to show one item, but I'm going to show the entire list. So I'll just say format document, and that should look good. Now let's try running this. So I'll just copy this, control C, and yes, we forgot to put the image source over here. Now what is an image source? So image source is basically the icon which appears over here. Now as you see the copilot icon, I can put any other icon as well. Now let me go into the core solution and see if I have any web resource. So you need to make use of a web resource. Make sure that that is of a square size, like 16 by 16 or 32 by 32. If you see in web resources, and if you sort by PNG, yes, I have this Airbus ADX site setting medium, and I have whole bunch of icons over here. Now we have something called a signal dash high. Now if I go inside this record signal dash high, I'll show you how it looks. So if I click on this record, this is how the icon looks like. So I'm happy with this, so I'm gonna use this. Now you need to take the internal name of that icon. So this is gcorp underscore signal high. Okay, and whenever you are referring to a web resource, you need to append the text web resources. So I will just type in web resources, R is capital and W is capital, web resources slash, and then put the internal name of the icon. And I think this should be good. Now the entity name which we are going to refer is airlines. So if I go to airlines properties, and here is gcorp underscore airlines. So I'm going to copy this and paste it over here. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to show a pane which will list down all the items within a specific entity, and in our case the entity name is airlines. And we have put some parameter. We wanted can close to be true. We put the image source as something signal high, and we said that title should be list of airlines. Okay. Now let me copy this. Now you can put it in JS and you can deploy, but just for quick execution, what I'll be doing is I will be going into the model driven app and using the developer tool. So let me go into F2 val, and here I'm going to paste the content. Now let me remove all the errors and warnings. I'll just keep information. And here, if I go inside, say any of the record, I want that pane to appear, right? So let me paste that code. So as you see over here, only Copilot icon appears in the side pane. I'll just paste this. And now, as you see, I have this side pane appearing over here. Now let me close this developer tool and show it to you in action, like how this works. So if you click here, list of airlines, this will expand and this will collapse. So if you click, it will expand. If you again click, this will collapse. Now what it has displayed, couple of things. The title, we said list of airlines, can close, so that's why you see X icon appearing over here. And if you go into the code, list of airlines, can close true, and now the web resource is signal high, and that's why you can see that icon over here, signal high icon. Now what operations can you do? You can perform, you can view all the list of airlines. Now why it is important is because if you are working on a specific record, now you're working on this record. Now if you want to refer to other records within the system, you can use this functionality. Or this need not be from a specific table. It can be a contacts, it can be an account, it can be any other custom table. You can add it over here, and then that can be used as a reference point while adding or updating the record within a specific form. So this is how you can display the side pane within Power Apps model driven app. Now uh, how to add that as a JavaScript? What you can do is you can create say, because what will happen is, like, I've already added this over here. Now let me go ahead and take this and now make some change. Now I will add, say, airline 002, and this time what I want is can close. Instead of can close to, I want it as false, and instead of signal high, I will use signal low. I have another icon. Okay, so list of airlines, second part. So I can add as many side panes into the list. Okay, so I'll just copy this, and now if I go into the form over here, go to developer tools, F12, clear, paste, and now you might see that there is another icon which is appearing. So that is signal low. Now the only difference which you see is, like, can closes no, so you cannot close this, and you cannot you can see the title which we have changed. Now if you go over here, this is different, right? So we have added two side pins. Now we can also add three side pin. But let me paste this code again, okay, and see the error. If I paste the code again, you might see that this third icon hasn't appeared. Now why it doesn't appear? Because this pane ID or the unique ID should be unique. Okay, you cannot put the same thing again and again. So if I just paste the code, I need to make sure that this ID is changed. Okay, so I've changed the ID. Now this all looks good, and now it has added one more. Now what I'll do, I'll add one more. So let me clear this. I've added one more. So I have added so many icons over here. Now if I close this, as you see, I have created multiple side panes. So you can create multiple side panes depending on what you want to show to the end user. Now, what we have done, we have just added this into the form just by using developer tool. Now, what happens if I refresh? So let me do a hard refresh. If I do a hard refresh, everything is gone. Everything is reset. Now if you want to persist that, what you need to do is you need to go into the core solution and then create a JS. Okay, so let me go ahead and show it to you how that can be done, but that is pretty much simple. uh, to create a JS, so you go to new, more, and web resource, and within the web resource you can paste the code. So I'll just go ahead and paste the code. Let me make a change over here. I'll just say I'll keep it what it was earlier. And now here you cannot just type in the code over here, you need to specify it in a function. So I'll just call it as function side pane example. And we are not using any specific context, so we don't want the context thing to appear. So I'll just say format document, and this is the code. A function side pane example. Copy this code and paste it over here. What is the file type? File type is JavaScript, and say side pane example. Display name side pane example, and close it. Now what you need to do, once you deploy the JS, let me open another tab, and here I will go into the model driven app, go into the form record. So go to airlines. So I'll go into the main form, and here in the main form I will add that JS. So I'll add a library, and I should find the site pane example. Click on add, and then from here I will say on load of this I want that side pane to appear. Now what was the name of the function? The name of the function was side pane example. So I'll just copy this and paste the value over here. We are not passing any execution context as the first parameter. I'll click on done, click on save and publish. Now this value should persist. Now let's try it. Now as you see, when I went into the record, you can see that that side pane is loaded. Right now I have only one side pane loaded because I have added this in the JS, and here I can see that I have added only one side pane. But if you want to give add multiple side pane, you can create this as an another function and then pass as a variable of anything which is getting changed, like the title or the pane ID or anything, and then you can utilize that. So that's it, folks. This is how you basically create a side pane within a Power Apps model driven app. Thanks for watching.